Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and we're going to talk about Netflix and Netflix's woes. Again, this article coming from Forbes today that the cold hard math says Netflix could crash 70%. Forbes is saying Netflix could crash 70%. That is bad. Now, we've talked about how Netflix lost a lot of value in the last quarter. We talked about how Netflix is hemorrhaging subscribers. We talked about how Netflix is cutting some corners on shows. They're canceling shows. They just canceled the series Tuca and Birdie. They don't seem to know what's going to bring audiences to them. I think they're kind of in panic mode because Disney's bringing Disney Plus, and they're bringing their A game, and they're bringing a lot of new expensive Star Wars and Marvel content. That's got to make them a little nervous. But yeah, they could crash 70%. And this is, right after that article comes out, Netflix hires the Game of Thrones guys, Benioff and Weiss, D&D, to what is supposedly a 9-figure deal to bring these guys on exclusively to Netflix to generate content. Because, they did such a bang-up job with Game of Thrones. Everybody wants these guys. So we're going to talk about that too, and how Netflix on one side of its mouth says they're cutting corners on content, and the other side of its mouth, they're like, hey, let's spend a bunch of money on these guys who aren't really as hot as they used to be. So again, coming from Forbes, the cold hard math says Netflix could crash 70%. This is coming from Forbes. It's official. It's the beginning of the end for Netflix. Coming from Forbes. This is not a fan theory. This is Forbes. As you may have heard, the online video company made a troubling announcement this quarter for the first time ever. It lost American subscribers, hundreds of thousands of them. The stock plunged more than 11% on the news. I know, because we have Netflix stock, and it's going down. I've been sounding the alarm on Netflix troubled business since last July when its stock was trading above $400. People thought Netflix would just go up and up and up and up. And now that all these competitors are coming in, that is not the case. It's fallen to $328 as I write this. If you own Netflix stock, yes, or you're tempted to go bargain buying here, please don't. Don't buy Netflix stock. Forbes is telling you not to buy Netflix stock. That's scary. There's nothing but pain ahead for Netflix. Its stock is likely headed to $225, and dropping below $100 is a real possibility. Again, not a fan theory, not a blog. Forbes, freaking Forbes is telling you to avoid Netflix like the plague right now. Since 2009, its business has grown and grown and grown. It has added roughly 140 million paying subscribers, and now it has more American subscribers than the top 3 cable companies combined. This relentless growth has pushed Netflix stock to 8,500% gains since 2009. Can you imagine buying Netflix in 2009? But as I've been warning, Netflix's string of growth is over. These latest results confirm it. Not only did it lose American subscribers last quarter, it added only 2.7 million subscribers worldwide, less than half the number it added in the same quarter last year. We're basically running out of people to subscribe to Netflix, so they're probably going to have to get more blood out of the rocks they have. In his investor letter, CEO Reed Hastings explained the results. Q2's content slate drove less growth in paid ads than we anticipated. Reading between the lines, he's saying we didn't make enough good shows and movies, so we didn't get enough new subscribers to sign up. And then shows like Tuca and Birdie get canceled, right? That should terrify Netflix investors. As I've explained, Netflix achieved its incredible success by being the first mover in streaming. It disrupted how people watch TV. That doesn't mean that they're the best. It doesn't mean that they're going to do it the best. I mean, honestly, this is me interjecting here. Netflix built its business on the ability to have content from all of these studios in one place online. And now that everybody's going their own way, they're taking their ball and they're going home, and they watched how Netflix did it. Disney starting its own streaming service, HBO, Warner Media starting its own service, NBC Universal starting its own service. All the really good content that brings people to Netflix is disappearing. So Netflix is going to be left with a bunch of really shitty shows and Stranger Things, I think, is what's going to happen. The world is gone forever. You see, Netflix's most popular shows aren't homemade. According to the Wall Street Journal, the most watched show on the Netflix is The Office. Netflix does not own The Office. NBC Universal owns The Office, and they're taking it from Netflix. NBC Universal is launching its own streaming service and pulling The Office off Netflix for good by the end of next year. Another wildly popular show is Friends. Friends is owned by Warner Media, which is now AT&T. Friends will be pulled off Netflix for good in 2020. Losing Friends and The Office will hurt, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. According to analysts from Jump Shot, more than half of Netflix's 50 most popular shows are owned by companies planning to launch their own streaming services. This is a huge problem. This is what happens when this is like a library deciding it wants to become a publisher, and everybody taking their books out of the library, and you're just left with your own self-published books. In other words, Netflix is going to lose more and more of its popular shows. So we've gone from a world where Netflix enjoyed zero competition to a world where the biggest, most powerful media companies on earth will compete with it. Disney, AT&T, and Comcast. We're not too thrilled with what's coming to Disney Plus, I guess you could say. We're nonplussed about Disney Plus, but they do have pretty deep pockets still. They do have a long-term strategy. They do own a lot of TV networks, a lot of movie studios, so there's probably going to be content on there forever, you know. So in short, Netflix management has been preparing for this. The company is on track to spend $15 billion developing original shows. That's a 69% jump. Yeah, they needed to jump on this sooner. Honestly, it's done a good job of producing stuff people want to watch, and a whole lot of stuff people don't care about, including Stranger Things, House of Cards, The Crown, and Orange is the New Black. It was good enough to attract and keep viewers when there were few other streaming choices, but soon Netflix will be just one of a half dozen streamers competing for subscriptions. For a stock that still trades at a ridiculously expensive valuation, that is a big problem. Forbes saying Netflix could crash 70%. 70%. So this is bad. This is bad. So they're talking, Netflix could actually dip below $100 a share. If Netflix valuation falls to 40 times earnings, still twice as expensive as the average stock, it's now a $100 stock, or 70% below today's price. Netflix is worth way more than Disney stock. Disney stock, last time I checked, I haven't really been keeping tabs on it too much, but it was a little over $100, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you go out and you check Disney. Disney stock is $137. It's actually down. It's actually down. They're in the red now too because of all the debt that Disney has, and that their theme parks did not perform as well as expected. So Disney's in the red too going into this streaming war this fall. So this is bad. This is bad. And so they're spending a ton of money on D&D. The Game of Thrones guys who dropped the ball, laces out, on season 8 of Game of Thrones. I don't think they're quite the hot commodity that they were a couple of years ago. Fandom is not happy with them. They skipped out on Comic-Con, probably due to the backlash over the final season of Game of Thrones. But here it is. They just threw a shit ton of money at these guys. A 9-figure deal. A 9-figure deal. So where do you go after Game of Thrones? For the creators of the hit HBO fantasy series, it's Star Wars and now Netflix. So this is going to be interesting to see how Disney feels about them doing Star Wars and going Netflix exclusive. They're supposed to be doing another trilogy, Star Wars trilogy for Disney. I don't know how they're going to feel about that, because Disney is very territorial now about their people, I think, because they want them producing for Disney Plus. So yeah, they said it's a massive deal. They told Deadline somewhere in the 9-figure range. Here's what they said. They said, "We've had a beautiful run with HBO for more than a decade. We're grateful to everyone for making us feel home, except you fanboys who roasted us as we dropped the ball in the final quarter. Over the past few months, we've spent many hours talking to Cindy Holland, Peter Friedlander, blah, 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 blah. We remember the same shots from the same 80s movies. We love the same books. We're excited about the same storytelling possibility. Netflix has built something astounding and unprecedented. It's all crumbling down, right? And we're honored they invited us to join them. They are still set to produce a series of Star Wars films. So that's interesting. So everybody's scrambling to lock top Hollywood talent down to produce content for the streaming services. There was a rumored deal with J.J. Abrams that he was actually going to go to Warner. Now we have D&D going to Netflix, and it's just this is going to be a very, very brutal, bloody battle, and I don't know who's going to walk away from it. I don't think any of these companies are going to walk away unscathed. And in fact, we said before that we think that Disney Plus could actually hurt Disney in the short term because they're putting so much money into it, but I think they realize they have to if they're going to win the streaming wars, which is the next level of entertainment. So very interesting to watch this. Very interesting to see what's going on with Netflix. Again, when you've got Forbes coming out and saying, do not buy this stock, it's going to crash, that is a bad sign. So Netflix, not in a good place right now. We'll see where they are when Disney Plus comes, how much Disney Plus will actually hurt them. But yeah, Netflix is going to be one of many streaming services, and I think it's going to be a little like Highlander. I think you're only going to have one or two that are left standing, and we don't know what shape these companies are going to be in. It kind of reminds me of the video game console wars, where Sega had to bow out 20 years ago, and it was like very heated between Sega and Nintendo, and Sega just could not keep up, so they just decided to develop games for other people's consoles. And what'll probably happen is if Netflix or Warner or Comcast can't keep up with Disney Plus, or whoever winds up being the industry leader, they'll probably just go back to putting their content on somebody else's streaming service. But I think they're all trying to be number one, and I think it's going to look, I think the streaming landscape is going to look very, very different 5 years from now. So please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Hopefully Geeky will be on later. We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for your support over the last couple months, especially. We'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.